Happy Wednesday, everybody. Steve,
Oh,
what are you studying?
Didn't know you.
Oh, you're studying the dictionary again?
Studying.
Oh, studying the dictionary.
GA.
So smart.
Oh, yeah.
What was it, your coloring book?
Yeah.
How the heck are you guys?
I'm
Good.
How about you?
How you doing, Wheezy?
I'm doing great, Stevie. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great now, Wheezy.
Skip over me all the time.
I missed you. It's been a whole week.
I know. It's too much.
You know
I
what
think we should get an apartment together.
Maybe so. You got to come down here, though.
Oh.
All right, that's enough.
I was just going to shut you both down and just take the show myself. Jeez. Come on. All right. Let's say hi to everybody in the chat. Michael Jasper, Scuba, Chuck Dodge, Justin, Kramer. Kramer's back and done playing with her
Kite.
John Wayne, Copay, Daniel Roush, and Joseph Sibley. Let's see. Who else? Come on.
Did you say
Down
Scuba?
out of the sky and come join us.
There's Copay, Chuck
Scuba.
Dodge.
Yep. Scuba. Who was the first one in here? Steve. 2 feet and a heartbeat. I wonder if he's here. He was here like at 5:54 tonight. Jeez. But yeah, thank you guys for joining us. So a little turn of pages this week. We're not doing, Steve English and Linda's here.
Yep.
Little turn of the page, get a little different stuff going this week. And we're going to have general aviation talk this week. We've got a young lady that's going to school to become a commercial pilot for, I believe, United. So let's bring in Becca. Hey, Becca.
Hey, guys.
How the heck are you?
Oh, I'm doing good. How are you guys all?
We're good.
Doing good.
So where are...
Oh, sorry. You just kind of cut out for just a sec. One more.
Where are you?
Oh, right now I'm in Goodyear, Arizona. So this is where I do my flight training. Just moved a couple days ago. So kind of getting set up from that.
And then is
So
that
you
for
started your training in Montana, and they moved you to Arizona.
Oh, sorry. So I moved. So I was living on campus at the airport here in Goodyear. Like United Aviate Academy has their own like housing. You can live at the airport. And then recently, since I just finished my commercial license and I'm starting my CFI training, I moved out into a house. So,
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. Yes.
And what is CFI training?
So certified flight instructor training.
Ooh.
Yeah. So hopefully soon I could teach.
Maybe you can teach me.
Yeah, I can come to Wisconsin.
No, we still have snow.
We have our first question.
Yeah,
People wants to know, how do you keep all that hair out of your prop?
well, I mean, I usually don't put my head next to it when I start it, so.
Okay,
But
so she is not a paramotor pilot at all. So I guess I'll ask that question. Do you know what a paramotor is?
kind of, like, I have a friend who does it a little bit. So I've seen her pictures, but I don't quite know, so.
So basically you either sit in a chair and roll into the sky, or you run into the sky with they call it a butt fan, like a backpack fan.
Yeah, I can see where my hair would get stuck in that.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, no, I would definitely try it. There's an airport where we do like landing, like practice landings that's nearby Goodyear. And sometimes there's a guy out there paramotoring around, and like we're up in our planes going like 150 knots, and he's kind of just doing his little pattern, but he always talks a lot. So he's good. He's good up there.
Well, he wants you guys to know where he's at. That's for sure.
Yes, definitely.
Have you ever met him at all, or no?
No, I haven't. I've talked to him on the radio sometimes, and he's pretty friendly, but I have not met him. Yeah.
All right. Next question. Anybody?
Kramer wants to know how tall you have to be a commercial pilot.
I don't think there's
really short.
I don't think there's a requirement these days. I mean, like there probably might be something thing. I guess if you have to reach the rudders, but I mean, a lot of people here, like some people here are pretty short and they fly like sitting on like a little like cushion thing in the plane. I don't know if there's like a minimum.
So I know what she's
Actually,
referring-
that brings up a question for me, but this question is for Jade. Jade, aren't you a little short to be a stormtrooper?
No.
Hmm.
So Kramer's referring to, I believe, if I remember her telling me, is she was looking into getting into the service, and a recruiter told her that she was too short, that she would never be able to get in. And I've never met her personally, but I think she's short.
Yeah, the Air Force definitely has more strict rules about that. They have stricter rules about like everything, like vision, height, age, like everything. So commercially, like if you're doing your training the civilian route, I don't think there's as many rules about that. Really, I have not ever heard that actually. So
Okay. All right. Shane, Planet Shane. How hard is it to see the paramotor pilots in the air from your planes, specifically when at altitudes with sky as background or from overhead with terrain as background? Good question.
yes, that is a good question. So we, the airport I'm referring to, it's called Buckeye. It's KBXK, and it's pretty dry out there. Like it's very desert-like. So when you're looking like down, like because I think at that airport the paramotors are a little are a little lower than us in that pattern. So when you're looking down, it's pretty hard to see them. When you're like taking off and you're in the like upwind and you're looking around for the traffic, you can see them. And if you keep your eye on them, you can keep track of them. But like they are fairly difficult to see. That's why I said that guy was talkative, because I was like, where are you? Are you turning base? Like, what's going on? Do you want me to extend for you? Like, yeah, they're difficult to see, but if everyone's talking, it's okay.
All right, good. Let's see. So what are you learning at school right now?
So right now, I just did my first couple days of certified flight instructor, like grounds. So the way that works is like I have a instructor who's teaching me how to be an instructor, and I make lessons on like each subject area of the practical testing standards for airplanes. And then I just teach it to him basically. And then I do a progress check, and then I'll learn how to fly from, usually I fly from the left seat of the plane as a student, like private, instrument, commercial, all is from the left seat of the plane. But then as a certified flight instructor, you fly from the right seat, your student flies from the left seat. So now I got to learn to fly from the right seat of the plane. So that's kind of what I'm working on now.
Okay.
Did you tell us you were going to work on spins?
Oh, yeah, I did. So here at the academy, they send us to APS, which is like an upset training recovery program over in Mesa, Arizona. And so we got to fly in like the extra 300s, do their little like 2-day course. And we did like all these like spins. Like we did the normal spin training you have to do for CFI stuff, but then we also did like a different upset. So almost like aerobatic stuff, like hammerhead, like falls and like different kind of spins, like a flat spin, like all sorts of stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was really cool. I wanted to do more
How
of
do
it.
you prepare for that or work up to like
Honestly,
control and recover?
I mean, you have like the recovery in the back of your mind, and you like chair fly it, and then it's pretty cool to see how it recovers though. Yeah, the one issue though was motion sickness. Like it was so much fun, but like by the third flight, I was definitely sick.
So when you're training for commercial, do you have to learn to do stalls and spins in a commercial sized aircraft?
No, so the way that works is so like so private pilot license, commercial pilot license, those are all at the academy here. We're doing them in Cirrus SR-20s. And so those are the planes that we're doing all our maneuvers, all our spinning, or all of our stalling, not spinning because they're not spin rated. That is why we're doing our spin training over in Mesa. Because the only recovery for spins in a Cirrus SR20 that's like approved technically is pulling, like Cirruses have a parachute, and so it's pulling the parachute. So we do all of our training in that, and then once we are a flight instructor, we instruct for 1,500 hours or build time some other way to 1,500 hours. That's when we're in like the commercial airliner size planes. But for those, you do all your training in the sims, and then the only time you ever fly those is when you're flying them for the passengers on board.
I demand to see a 737 be spun. Man. Wasn't there a test pilot back in the day? I think it was like a 707. Like he did an unplanned like barrel roll in I think it might have been a 707, but
I don't know.
it wasn't
That
even
sounds...
planned. He got in trouble for it, but he's like, "Look at what I can do," and he took a legit. It was like a 707 size plane.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I have no idea. We're definitely not supposed to do that. So I'll say that much.
All right. Kramer, she had said she wanted to fly Blue Angels with the Navy. Females have to be, she was told 5'8" minimum. So I got a private pilot license instead. Now I fly trike, best ever flights. So.
Oh. Yeah, 5'8". That's pretty tall. I mean, I'm 5'10", but still, that's like pretty tall for a minimum. There's definitely people here who are like barely 5 feet tall. So, so yeah, I don't think there's that kind of minimum.
Okay. And then Planet Shane says, can you land a small plane into such high headwinds that you are basically parked and tires don't roll when you finally touch down?
I guess technically you could, but like the only situation you would ever be doing that in is like you took off, everything was looking good, the winds weren't too crazy, and then at some point when you're up in the air, like last resort, you're landing on a runway where the wind's that high, because if the winds are that high, you probably shouldn't be flying in the first place.
Yeah, they'd be like a stall, wouldn't it?
Yeah, well, technically the stall is based on like the indicated airspeed, so as long as that like ram air is coming in the like the pitot tube and it's indicating that it's at a higher speed, like the stall won't happen. You'll literally you could be like flying backwards like before you would stall.
No, I mean a stall, like the STOL.
Oh, gotcha. I don't know, what is that?
That's the small plane. What is that? What does that stand for? The STOL.
Short takeoff.
Yeah, that's short takeoff and landing.
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah, like short field takeoff and landing. If you land like really slow, you can get off really quickly. But yeah, the headwinds, you probably shouldn't be flying into like winds that are strong enough so that you're basically stopped when you touch down.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I bet it could be possible, but yeah.
Okay, who's typing under my name?
Me, I was trying to show the video of the 707 getting barrel rolled.
Oh, okay. I was like,
Wait a minute, it's time.
all right. I did see yesterday, I think on Facebook, it looked like one of those, and I don't know who it would look like, one of the trick planes came in for a landing, and a guy had posted a picture of it because he was out by the runway, and it snapped its landing gear because he was doing must have been crabbing coming in.
Yeah.
With the winds, and it just snapped the landing gear on one side. So
yeah, that's kind of like, that's what I'm like thinking. Like you could land if the wind was straight on headwind, like nothing to the side at all. Like yes, you could do that, but like if it's slightly to the side at all, you're crabbing, and then you're kind of landing sideways on that straight runway, and yeah, just snap the landing gear pretty easily. So yeah.
When did you start thinking you wanted to get into the sky?
So I kind of had the idea in high school that maybe I would want to be a pilot, but then I was like, no, I should do like the more traditional 9-to-5 kind of job. And I was always pretty good at math and science. So I was like, I'll go to college engineering. So I did that. And then I graduated, worked as a civil engineer for like 2.5 years. And I was like, all I want to do is like travel, and flying seems kind of fun. So I put the two together, and then I took like 2 lessons in a Cessna 150, and I was like, okay, yeah, I definitely need to fly, and traveling, I want to be an airline pilot. So I started looking at programs, and that's how I found United Aviate Academy, and that's kind of how that's how I knew I wanted to fly.
Wow.
Kramer wants to know what the average training time is to become a commercial pilot.
Yeah, so I guess there's 2 definitions of commercial. If you're wondering about like a commercial, like right now, technically I am a commercial pilot because I have my commercial pilot's license, but I can't fly. So I'm not an ATP pilot. So I can't fly I think that stands for like airline transport pilot or something like that, aircraft transport pilot. That is what I will do once I build my hours and I go to a regional. So I'm assuming she might mean that. So it depends on the program. So there's a couple programs that'll get you through all your training from 0 hours to all your instructor ratings that you need to start teaching and building your own hours in like 8 months. I would say a good average would be between 8 to a year to 16 months. So let's say a year of that. And then you're going to teach however long it takes you to get 1,500 hours. Usually you finish your training with about 200 to 300, so 1,200 hours at the academy. Since it's such good weather, people want to fly all the time. I can probably get about 100 hours a month, but like places like St. Louis, Missouri, where I was living before this, I'd probably get like 30 hours a month. So it really varies where you are. So for me, it'll take like another year. And then once I have those hours, that'll be 2.5 years. And then I can be flying for a regional airline, such as like GoJet, Mesa Airlines, and Commute Air are the 3 that fly for United Express that I'll be like choosing between with this like program I'm a part of. And then once I fly with them for like 2.5 years, that's when I go to United Airlines. So 4 to 5 years, if everything like stays on track and goes smoothly, is when I'll be at United Airlines.
What's your all-up cost to go from like start to finish just to get to that level?
Yeah, so United Aviate Academy. So for me, it's the tuition is $71,000. But programs like there's this big flight training program called ATP. It's the same acronym as what an ATP license is, but they're different. ATP is also a flight school, and ATP, I believe, costs about $100,000. And depending on the location you're at, you might be flying old Cessna 172s, you might be flying new Piper Archers. Like it's really hit or miss, and it's the same price everywhere. So it's like I'd say it varies 70 to 100,000. Yeah, because then once you get your CFI license, that's when you get paid to fly. So that's why you do that. You get paid to fly, paid to teach, all that stuff. So
Do you get student loans for that?
yeah. Yep. Pretty much everyone I know here has big loans. There's a lot of good scholarships available, like here specifically. Yeah. And in general, but yeah.
So Paul's got a good statement. Are you ready to be super poor working as computer pilot till you build up your hours?
As a computer pilot. Yeah. So yes, I'm already super poor. So
So are you getting paid in any way for your school right now? You're not.
I got some scholarships, so I was able to use those towards school, and then I also got a loan. So those are the ways I'm being paid. And then soon, once I finish CFI and then CFII, which is Certified Flight Instructor Instrument, that's when I can start working at my school if I get hired. So
How long do you plan on being where you're at now?
About another year to a year and a half, depending on how quickly things go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
What draws you most to getting into aviation? Because so many of us fly for different reasons, whether it be for sport, just being up in the air, or even the analytical side. Like, what really pushed you to like, I want to be a commercial airline pilot? Is there something specific about it that really trips your trigger?
Honestly, like it all started because of traveling. Like I just wanted to be able to travel and go anywhere like go new places, see new things. Like that was really what started it for me. But now that I'm like actually flying and like learning how to fly, I like really appreciate like the complexities of it, I guess, and just like kind of the methodical nature of like making sure everything's correct. Like you're really learning how to do something, like you're really learning this flying task, like you're really learning how to get from point A to point B with all the steps along the way. And it's, I don't know, it's a pretty cool and like satisfying thing to like really go on a cross country by yourself or like something like that. Like I think it's just very rewarding now that I'm like doing it. So
have you found certain things where, you know, they always say you don't know what you don't know, that kind of surprised you, that made your attitude take a different direction, or maybe things that you might want to explore down the road that are a little bit different than your intended path?
Yeah, definitely. One thing that I find really interesting is like, so when people say like commercial pilot, like in the airplane pilot kind of world, they mean more of like a commercial pilot flying for like a corporation. So like if I were flying for like Nike, but as a pilot, or if I were flying for like Netflix, but as a pilot, or like a private owner of a really nice jet that they want to pay you $200,000 a year so they can call you in the middle of the night on a Tuesday to take them to Cabo. Like that's also an option, being a commercial pilot in that sense. So that's something I've kind of like heard about. There's some good podcasts out there about that. So that's something I would consider if I wanted to be more like based in one spot. But yeah, there's that. That's my instrument rating from November.
Nice.
That's very nice.
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, I just love aviation, honestly. Now that I'm like in it, I want to learn about all sorts of different things, like also the paragliding, paramotoring, that kind of stuff too. It's just very cool. So
I think you'd love it.
yeah, I think so too.
Steve English wants to know if you've had any close calls or oh shit moments flying solo or with passengers.
Yeah, so luckily nothing too crazy. Luckily nothing too crazy. I was going for one of my check rides, and I was like looking at the plane beforehand, and we have about 40 Cirrus SR-20s. So we don't always fly the same one. We fly different planes every day. We get assigned random planes. So I'm like looking at this plane I'm about to fly, and I'm literally like ready to get in with the DPE, all like stressed, and like I see the bottom of the plane and there's just this big oil leak, and I'm like, ugh, because obviously I can't take the plane, and we always have like plane shortages, like people are always trying to fly. So like I was like, oh gosh, now I'm gonna have to wait, now I'm gonna have to do this. But I mean, it's one of those things where you have to like make that decision just not to fly. But I'm gonna think of a better story, like in the air, if I can think of one. Okay, so I was flying. So during our like commercial rating for Aviate, we fly a lot of like long cross countries. We'll get the plane for about a 6 to 7 hour block, and we can basically just plan a flight to where we want to go. And here, things that are like 3.5 hours away are like El Paso, Texas, Carlsbad, California, Long Beach, California. So my friend and I decided we were going to fly to, Santa Monica. And it was a Saturday midday, and we flew on an instrument flight plan. So that basically just means like air traffic control has to provide us with like more separation. They have to like provide us with more things. Instrument flight plans are generally more safe, just in case. But the Santa Monica, approach controller was like really not happy with us, because he's like, you guys are always flying over here, like in my airspace, and I have to separate you, and there's the jets coming through and all this stuff. And I was like, I am so sorry, because a lot of people from our school fly there, and they never had any problems. But on that specific day, I think he was just like overworked or something, because he was not happy with us. It wasn't anything we did wrong, because I was like telling the flight instructors at our school, like, I was like, oh, like they don't want us to fly over there, like they have too much traffic. They're like, well, like, I mean, technically, like you're allowed to, but definitely understand, like, making them super busy is not great for safety overall. But he like sent me to do this weird hold. So like there was a VOR and he sent me to do this weird hold over this VOR, and like usually they don't give a lot of unpublished holds. And I was like 3 minutes from the VOR and I was like trying to get this hold all configured, and I was definitely stressed. I think that's the most stress I've ever been in the plane, was trying to get that figured out. But by the time I got to the VOR, I like had started my hold, and then he just started like vectoring me around anyway. So I was like, okay, disaster averted on that one. But yeah.
I've heard of different conversations between like pilots and air traffic controllers where they get really grumpy at each other. Have you heard anything like that before, where like they actually get pretty short, even the pilots?
I would say I've only heard it on the pilot side of things once or twice. Because obviously you want to keep the air traffic controller as happy as you can, since they're the one who can give you the phone number and they're the one who can get you on the ground safely. So I don't know. And at the same time, it's like you always kind of have to understand that they are definitely like controlling so much. Like I've been able to go on a couple like tower tours, Tracon tours to see like what the controllers are doing. And it's like, it's mind blowing how much traffic they're managing, like what they're doing. But yeah, I definitely have. One time at Palm Springs, I was like in my run up and I was gonna get my instrument clearance to fly back to Goodyear. And I'm sitting next to the Cessna that's getting their instrument clearance, and they read it back to the controller, and the controller goes, literally none of that was correct at all. And I was just like, oh God, like, I don't know if I want to read this back to him or not. But yeah, that guy, he was pretty short about a couple of things, but there's just been a couple of times that you just laugh. You're like, I was
a 911 dispatcher, and I want to take my worst snowstorms with the dumbest people with cell phones and then go into O'Hare Tower or LA or something and just see how the control tower operates. I mean, I just can't imagine.
No, I can't either. Like,
I'd love to go see them though.
Yeah, it's really cool. Sometimes the FAA, like Fast Safety or whatever website that is, they'll put out things about like, oh, tower tour, Tracon tour. Yeah, they're very interesting. I'm just like always in awe.
So Tony, I gotta find it. Hang on. Oh, where'd my cursor go? Tony had a question about, have you ever thought about flying skydivers for hours?
Yeah, I think that would be really cool. There actually is like a skydiving operation that's like right at that same airport where the paramotor guy is at. That'd be super cool, honestly. I probably would if I like didn't know. So I'm really trying to get hired by the school that I'm at currently. Once I get my ratings, but like if I didn't, I would definitely consider it. Only because the school here, like I said, I can get about 100 hours a month, and like my goal is to kind of get through quickly and get to the airlines. Don't get me wrong, I'm going to be a good instructor. I'm not going to be like the kind of person who's just like here for the hours or whatever, but at the end of the day, that is the goal. But yeah, flying skydivers does sound really fun though.
Does that would that take any kind of special training to fly skydivers?
I'm not sure actually. Like I would definitely have to get checked out in a different kind of plane. But I'm not sure if there's specific like FARs about it or anything.
Yeah.
You just gotta fly and then dump them out the side and be like,
yeah.
Open the window.
You know what you have to do after you drop them. You know, as far as getting away from them. You know, if there's special training for that. You know.
Don't dive.
You don't chop them up, you know.
No, I think that would not be good. Yeah, even at the airport we're at, like you can only do the pattern to the west. Like you can't do it east of the airport because that's where the skydiving operations are. And yeah, during my last check ride, I was like at that airport doing my landings for commercial, and this skydiving, it's called the Caravan is its call sign. So it drops off the jumpers and it's like coming around the pattern, and I'm like abeam the end of the runway here. And then there's another plane like on short final, and this Caravan's like coming over me. Like they're like at 8,000 feet. They start their downwind. They're faster than me, so they overtake me. They get in front of me, and then the pattern there is 2,000. So they're 8,000. So they're like coming down on top of me, like gonna land between me and this other plane. And I was like, and I'm sitting there, the DPE's right there. I'm like, I'm gonna do a left 360. Like, so sometimes those parachute jumping planes, they just gotta do their thing. They do what they want to do.
Jade, I didn't know you were a 911 dispatcher.
I was, yeah.
Apparently, choking on a handful of gummy bears does not constitute as a bear attack.
No.
Learned that the hard way.
Oh gosh, I wish I would have had you at the other end.
Yeah, I'm sure that would have been some interesting calls.
Oh yeah, the funny ones that I can remember are like, people are very like, if you don't know, and that makes me like, when we travel, I try to be self-aware of mile marker signs, because I had a lady call up and say, I'm in the ditch, and it's like, okay, where about are you? And she's like, I'm by the got milk sign.
Oh no.
Are you kidding?
You're like, what?
And our county that I worked for, it was bigger than the state of Rhode Island. So it's like there's a lot of area that, but I think I had pinpointed, because I had drove past it not too long ago, and I said, are you in the Wausau area? And she's like, yes. And I'm like, okay, I know exactly where you're at. So.
Oh my gosh, yeah, you can't just say the got milk sign. We're in the Midwest. There's probably a lot.
Oh yeah.
Eric PPG Lear says, have you ever been told to write down this number from the tower?
No, I have not, and I hope I never do. And I was like during our, like I was saying, commercial training, like we had like 9 or 10 of those like long cross countries where we're like going to new airports, doing new things. Like that's your biggest fear, is you're like, I'm gonna do something wrong, because you're still learning, even though you're in commercial. Like it's a lot, like especially going from like Phoenix area, super concentrated training operations, a lot of pilots flying to like California, San Diego area, LA area. Like, no, I did not get any numbers or get told to give my number.
What does that mean?
So if the tower like calls you and is like, I have a number for you to copy, that basically means that you need to call them, and you probably have done something you're not supposed to. So you might get a pilot deviation.
That's how I met my fiance. Yeah.
Oh, cute.
I was doing something she didn't like, and she's like, you need to call me later.
Yeah. She's like, I have a number for you to copy. That's funny.
How about takeoffs and landing? What kind of planes have you flown in so far? And then takeoffs and landings. Tell me a little bit about being smaller planes, because that's all I've really been in with ours right now, and my husband in training. And windy not launches, windy takeoffs and crosswinds. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so before I came to Aviate, I was training in St. Louis. I did about 30 hours in a Cessna 150. And those are interesting because it was a little bit easier to like just land the plane. Whereas the Cirrus kind of wants to float a little more than it should, because it's pretty heavy, but you kind of like get it in ground effect, and you're just like sometimes just floating down the runway. But especially if there's wind, like crosswind landings, I found them not too bad in the Cirrus. We don't usually fly if the winds are above like 20 knots, I think is the new school.
Okay, so it is a Cessna.
Oh yeah, I think is that a 172 or a 150?
I punched in 150 there.
Okay, yeah. Then it is a 150 then. Yeah, they're pretty small. Like it doesn't look particularly small, but like you see them out there and they're tiny. Like my flight instructor was like 130 pounds, like small lady, and we were literally like elbow to knee touching in the Cessna. Like there's like not a lot of room. Yeah, like that. So yeah, whereas the Cirrus, they are a Cirrus SR-20,
Okay, I'll pull that up.
Okay, yeah, that's what I've done most of my training in. We are spoiled, so don't make fun of me. But it's a very nice plane, and I love flying that plane. But it has AC, it has a heater, which is like necessary for the summer months. You need the AC. Like, it is so hot out here.
Do they got CD players or tape decks?
Oh, we got XM radio.
Ooh.
Wow.
It's pretty nice. We got the G1000. We have like the mixture and the manifold pressures all on the same lever. Like I'm sorry, not the mixtures over there, and the manifold and the prop are in the power lever. Yeah. So yeah, it's a good time. I really love flying these things.
Those are pretty.
That one right there is the one that we fly. The one to the like middle of the screen. That's the coloring on our planes. The blue and the white.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
I think I've got a picture of that too. Oh, I gotta show this one. I had this one up first. Hang on, I gotta get back to my screens here. I thought this was a cute picture here.
Oh yeah, it's from my solo.
Yeah.
From my solo. That's my instructor, Joe Hicks. He said, "You did great today."
Okay, here's a one of a cockpit. Let's see. I don't think this is the Cirrus though.
Let's see. No. That's so GoJet brought one of their CRJs, I think. Oh, CRJ 550. They brought it out there for us to like look at and
Nice.
basically sit up there. So yeah, it's super cool.
Fuzzy seat liner. I like it.
I know. I'm like, the sheepskin seats, like
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, we get a lot of cool opportunities at this school for sure.
What's your dream aircraft to eventually fly?
I
Where
would
you're
love
like,
to.
I finally made it.
Yeah, no. I would love to fly like the 787 or the 777. Either, I mean, honestly, anything that goes international, like anything that goes international, like either from the West Coast flying to Asia, Australia, or like East Coast flying to Europe. I think those would be cool.
Shane's Planet Shane says, "Do you have to have insurance to wait? Do you have to insure a GA plane and keep records of flights and maintenance?"
Yeah. So, yes, you do have to have insurance, and you do need to keep records. Definitely records of maintenance. Flights. Yeah. You have to keep your hobs and your tack time. You have to write down everything. Yeah. So basically, you have to keep records of like everything. As far as like logging your own time, obviously only if you're working towards a rating or proficiency or whatever. But yeah, the plane needs to be like insured and everything needs to be tracked.
Slow Days is asking, "Have you ever considered the military?"
A little bit. I know if you do your flight training through the military, you then have a 10-year commitment. Yeah, I considered it a bit, but then this opportunity like presented itself pretty early on in my like looking into flying. But it's definitely a route that I would have considered more heavily if I hadn't gotten into this program and hadn't gotten like a couple good scholarships for it. So yeah.
Wait now, 10-year commitment?
Yeah, pilots have a 10-year commitment in the military.
Wow.
That's a little much.
We've got somebody new here, Diane Romero. Hello from Philly. Hi. Welcome to the show.
Ed Brinkman wants to know if you want to own your own plane.
Oh yes, I would love to own my own plane someday. I could see that happening someday down the line once my loans are paid off. But
well, if you can't afford it, we do have an alternative for you.
True. That is true. No, maybe I'll do both. So
much as a motorcycle.
Yeah.
So Chuck wants to know, what kind of pre-flight do you personally do on the bigger planes?
So the plane that I'm flying, the SR-20, So I'm not actually on like the airliner size planes, so I'm not sure about those. But for the SR-20, we do like the inside. We turn on the batteries. We make sure the lights are working. We turn on the we check like the stall horn. We take out the caps pin, like for that parachute that we have. There's a pin that always stays in unless you're about to fly. Then you take it out. Check our emergency equipment. Get out of the plane. Look at the wings where they connect to the fuselage. Go around looking like the static portholes on the sides. Make sure they're not blocked. Look at where the parachute lives in the top of the fuselage. The caps, where that system lives. Look around, look at the elevator, rudder, all the cable connections, untie the plane, make sure we have full fuel, oil's looking good, all that stuff, basically. And then obviously at the front of the plane, you look like in the cowling, make sure there's nothing, no birds trying to live in your engine, make sure the prop doesn't have any scratches and all the screws are tight. And then we sump all the fuel to make sure there's no like contaminants in the fuel and stuff like that.
Wait, you said the first thing was you had a parachute.
Yeah, I was going to ask the same thing.
So,
yeah,
Eric, what was the plane that you and I each got to take with flight with Steve down in the one that we kind of looked at that had the parachute? That's the only reason I want that plane is because it's got a parachute.
it's probably a Cirrus. It's the only one I think with parachutes.
Is it like an eject out the back window, top window?
It ejects. So on the Cirrus, it's like behind. So the Cirrus has front seats, back seats, and then like a tail compartment, and it's like on top of that. It lives in there, and then if you were to pull the handle, it like shoots out a rocket that's attached to the parachute and like expands it out, and then it slowly. I feel like I'm in a check ride, like explaining how the cap system works. It like slowly it has these rings that like open the parachute slowly so that you're not just like expanding it all at once. Yeah.
This one was a sling sport.
How often have you heard of people actually needing to deploy those?
No one, I'm going to knock on wood because no one at our school has had to yet. And we've been in business for about 1.5 years almost. And it's not super common. It's just like an extra like layer of safety. It's not super common, but if you do deploy it above 2,000 feet and it's like obviously not a mountain peak or something, then you have like pretty much 100% chance of surviving. Yeah.
I don't like those odds.
Yeah, but it's pretty interesting. It's pretty interesting.
That's why I fly. I don't want to feel like I'm gonna die, but I don't want to feel like I'm gonna live either.
a little more risk in there.
That's how I approach everything in my life.
There you go.
Looking for some more questions.
Are we gonna do the spinning wheel?
Oh, yeah, I guess.
You want to do spinning wheel?
Let's do the spinning wheel. Hey guys!
Oh, now we're really kicking it up a notch.
Check this out. I hope.
What are we giving away?
Wait.
Oh man, I do this all the time. Come on.
Who wants one of these stickers?
I do.
I'll give 2 of those away tonight.
All right.
They're scratch and sniff.
Those are cool.
Thanks for
They
Randy
smell like
Wilson.
graham crackers. They old
Becca,
fun.
I'll send you one.
Ooh,
All right.
Feel extra greasy.
Who's our first winner for tonight? And guys, remember, if you win, you got to message me your information. I can't figure out where to send stuff. It's like I'm trying to be good and put stuff in my phone now. If you're a winner numerous times, like Linda or Steve English.
Is that Randy Milstead?
Steve English win a bunch? I don't remember him winning.
Yes.
Ooh, I think it's gonna be James. Come on, James, I'm rooting for you. Come on. Oh yeah, I have a lot of money rolling on James.
James, all right.
All right. Congrats, James. Let's do one more right away. We'll do that. And James just remembers, go into Facebook and look me up. Message me your mailing.
Shane Wyman says, Travis wins a lot. Oh, poor Travis.
Is Travis even in here tonight? I heard
Travis.
No, I haven't seen Travis.
I heard this rumor. Eric told me this morning that, we took 10 pounds of cheese curds down to Bad Apples last year, and Shane hated, or Travis hated them.
Ooh. Oh. Speaking of cheese curds, I'm moving to Tillamook. I get all the cheese curds.
There we go,
Paul
Paul.
Marzano.
Congrats, Paul. All right. I'll get those out as soon as I get your addresses. So anyway, we bring down 10 pounds of cheese curds, and Travis is like, I don't like them. Well, apparently he messaged Eric this morning and said he tried deep fried cheese curds and he liked them. So
10 pounds of cheese curds? Don't you guys get backed up? Good night.
The whole
took it
place
to Bad Apples last
Like,
year.
here's your cheese curds. Here's your laxatives.
We
Enjoy.
had regular ones, and then we had the jalapeno
hot
pepper
ones.
ones.
Yeah, they were good. Yeah.
So little snacks every day.
Diane Romero would like to know if you feel differently flying as a passenger since you've become a pilot.
Yeah, that's a good question. I do a little bit, just because I feel like I understand like weather more. I understand like pilots, like the decision making that goes behind if they like allow commercial airline flights to take off or not. Like, I don't know, growing up, for some reason, I believed like you could fly through a thunderstorm and be struck by lightning and you're fine. But like, no, that's very much not how it is. Like in a plane, you need to stay very far away from a thunderstorm, like things like that. But also as a passenger, I now like I'm always like looking at my like ForeFlight like app. Like I'm always like looking at the route, seeing where the plane's flying, trying to guess what approach they're flying, like all that kind of stuff. So it's a little more, it's fun. It's like involved. I'm also like looking at the taxiway diagram, like where are we going? Trying to listen to the frequency if I can, but usually live ATC is pretty bad from inside the plane.
Oh, and I was just thinking, Diane, you said you're in Philly. So this summer we're going to, what's the name of Wendy's airport? Gosh, Steve English, help me.
Oh, it's
Jersey Shore Airport, and we're going to be around the Pennsylvania area. So
that's not even close to Philly.
Well, I know, but we might be traveling though too.
Yeah.
So, and what does it hurt to drive a couple hours? So, and we could meet Diane, or she could come meet us and come see the fly-in that they're having at Jersey Shore then. So, yeah. All right. Nice. It's backyard. What?
It's in our backyard.
Jersey Shore is? Huh.
Okay. All right.
So do you know Wendy then?
Absolutely. Send me the information.
Awesome. When is it? Oh boy. Guys, you're asking me questions. Hang on, let me look.
I don't know when it is. So she can come to Jersey Shore and take a tandem. All right.
Event calendar. USPPA.org has all the fly-ins.
Ouch.
And by the way, don't forget Bad Apples is coming up May 18th through May 21st. And then we got the cool poker run Memorial Weekend, May 26th through the May 28th. And that's the same weekend as Torchport, where we're going to be at up in Upper Michigan area. And Fly the Fort, June 1st through the 4th. Fly It for Gauge, June 8th through the 11th. Horn Buzzards Fly-In, June 8th through the 11th. And you might be able to go to that one, Becca. Palmyra, Illinois. Kind of middle. Well, you're in Arizona now. Never mind.
Yeah, it's hard. I'm like, always hard to get back there on a timely schedule.
Yeah.
Well, Diane says it's only an hour and a half from her.
Oh, there you go.
That's not far.
What's your current time commitment in Arizona? How much longer do you have down there?
About another year and a half, probably. Yeah.
Okay, I found Aurora PPG flying August 11th through the 13th. So Diane, August 11th through the 13th at Jersey Shore Airport, 1181 Pine Creek Avenue, Jersey Shore, Pennsylvania. Go to aurorappg.org if you want more information on it. It's their first annual. So check out usppa.org. Go to the event thing if you want updates on where all the fly-ins are coming, because they're starting to roll in now with the warmer weather.
Speaking of which, I think we should spend our last minutes browbeating her into getting into PPG.
Yeah.
So we got a lot of viewers that are Part 103 people. So you just pull up this big kite, you spin around, and you just go fly wherever you want and go kick some treetops. I think you're gonna like it. But I actually am friends with he was a commercial airline pilot, large passenger planes for decades, but he lost his license due to medical. And so he actually transferred to what we do to still get a taste from it. But I've gotten to meet like people like U2 pilots and stuff like that have transferred, and they're like, I don't have a cockpit, so I think we got to sucker you into this. You got to promise us within the next year you'll actually just take a tandem. Just go for a tandem ride.
I mean, I just might. I have a friend who she pressures me into lots of other things, so I'm sure she'll get me. I'm sure she'll get me in a what are they, paraglider? What's the word exactly for it?
Paragliding. Yeah.
Yes, I'm sure she'll get me in one.
And you can do tandems on just paragliding as well without a motor.
Interesting.
But I've also known people that do what we do that get into general aviation and just abandon this. So everybody's got their weird deals.
Yeah. No, I'll definitely try it. I'm sure that I will.
Awesome. All right. Well, I know you got to go pretty soon, right?
Yeah.
Probably hitting the books. So
yeah. A lot of studying these days.
I'm going to she's got to go. I'm just going to put the invite in here. Oh, Steve's studying now. If you want to join us for a few minutes in the after show, but Becca probably won't be sticking around.
I can stay for a few minutes. I can stay for 10. So
what'd you find, Steve? Anything interesting?
There's a picture of the Pope and Elton John on the same page, so I don't know what I'm reading.
Oh, and then I got to look to see who next week's guest
Michael
is.
Phelps.
Michael Phelps.
Michael Phelps, the swimmer?
Not the swimmer. I said the same thing.
This one is something. Let's see. What's his name?
Deweese found.
I was like, man, we're really branching out.
Not that Michael Phelps.
You said he's a commercial pilot, is what you told me.
He's going to commercial pilot school. Going to start. He's got a YouTube page. He flies paramotors.
Okay.
Nice.
I'll have to look and let me see what it is.
Oh, I got one last question for you, Becca. Do you have any friends or significant others or any family that you get to share the experience with? And I mean, do you get to enjoy that at all?
Yeah, so I actually haven't been able to take my wife up flying yet. She hasn't been able to go yet, but I was able to take my two best friends from high school up with me. They're not in aviation themselves, so that was kind of fun for them. And I was able to take my parents up with me, and that was really cool for them to see just like what I'm doing out here. And then at United Aviate Academy, I have a lot of good friends. I have a lot of good friends in the program. We all kind of work together. I have a group of 3 other girls who I hang out with quite a bit and do a lot of studying and other shenanigans with. So yeah, it's a good time here. So yeah.
Wait, I'm sorry, did you say that you didn't get to take your wife up yet?
No, I haven't been able to take her up yet. I know. I need to go back to St. Louis and get checked out over there and all that.
How long have you guys been married?
About a little over a year.
Okay.
Beautiful.
If it's been like 5 years and I didn't take her up, come on.
Yeah.
But she's also in the Air Force, right?
Yeah, she's in the Air Force. She does intel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell her thank you for her service.
Oh, yes, I will. She might be watching, so thanks, Haley.
Cool.
Yeah, I was an Air Force brat, but I couldn't get into intel because apparently you had to have intelligence to begin with. So.
That'll do it. That'll do it. Oh.
All right. So Deweese is going to work on Michael Phelps, the swimmer.
No.
Oh, yeah, Deweese. He's pretty to look at.
With the web feet.
With his web feet, yeah. Okay.
And we'll have him on next week. So, Becca, thank you so much for taking time out of your evening and hanging out and talking to me the last week and a half.
Yeah, of course. It was fun.
Keep in touch. It would be nice to, have you come back on again sometime. And even if we do a fun night, if we get somebody that cancels and we scurry to get people on, I'll maybe call you up and say, hey, do you want to come on and give us an update on where you're at?
Yeah, definitely. I'd love to.
Awesome.
Yeah, and at the very least, I mean, if we don't see you in there, we'll see you on there.
Yep. I'll be out there.
All right, guys, have a good night and fly safe. See you next week. Make sure you hit the thumbs up.
Good night, everybody.
Right, love you guys.
Nothing is untrue, nothing don't matter, it's all notions of our